hooks. Shoot your arrows. Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air and gives the Rams the lead. Robert Woods, touchdown. LA! Dog goes crashing into the end zone. Aaron Donald almost beat the football there. Corey Littleton, have yourself a day. Picked off. Marcus Peters coming off the edge. And Ryan will be wrapped up by Clay Matthews. Everett in stride. Wow!
Franklin Myers gets his hand down there.
Weddle got a hand on it. Did he pick it? He did!
Racing down the sideline is Akeem Talib. Gurley for MVP! Touchdown LA!
Picked off by John Johnson.
Well, Dante Fowler, who is able to get to breathe. Greg Zuerlein sends the Rams to the Super Bowl! LA will play for the Lombardi!
Welcome back, guys, to another Downtown Rams podcast. It's episode 192 of the Draft Season edition. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen. Joining me is Alexis Kraft. We have Ben Powers, guard from Oklahoma, coming on the show, as well as Josiah Tauaefa from UTSA, University of Texas-San Antonio. We are really excited to bring these interviews to you. Hope you guys enjoy. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and enjoy the show. All right, guys, joining the podcast, we have Oklahoma guard Ben Powers. How's it going, Ben? Thanks so much for coming on.
Going good. Going great. You know, this is a slow time of year, but at the same time, it's getting ready to be real exciting in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're so excited to talk to you. And to start this off, we just kind of want to get to know your story. How did you get into football? How old were you when you started playing? And what was it that got you to love the game?
Shoot, I started playing around, I think it was fourth grade. And, it was just something I did with my buddies. That got me more time hanging out with them. But started around fourth grade and then, still kicking it to this day.
Yeah, I love that. Growing up, was there an NFL player that you admired or, favorite player?
Well, actually growing up, me and my whole family, we were Pittsburgh Steelers fans. So we were watching them around back then. They were winning Super Bowls. So that was a fun time.
Nice. Yeah, and, you obviously grew up playing football and played through high school, and then you started your college career off at Butler Community College and then transferred to Oklahoma. What was the main factor for you in choosing to play at Oklahoma?
My recruitment process was real short. A lot of these guys have, multi-year recruiting processes, and, I had 0 Division I offers out of high school. So I get to Butler Community College, and 1 week into fall camp, I call my father and I'm like, man, I do not want a redshirt in a junior college. Being there for 2-3 years sucks. No one wants to do that. And so, I ended up playing my season. I played right tackle. I ended up being a first team all Jayhawk, on the line conference. I got that award. And that was the beginning of December in 2015 when I got that award, right? And so, these colleges pick up on that. In about 2 weeks, I have 7 offers, and I make the decision. Well, I'm going to sign my letter of intent in December. I'm going to get on campus in January, being early enrollee. That's the best option for me going forward. So of those 7 offers, I had 2 weeks to decide out of those 7 offers. I could have stayed in the spring and chosen anywhere I wanted to go in the country. I stayed, I picked the 2 best schools. I had 2 weekends left. I chose Oklahoma. I chose TCU. I took visits to both those schools, and Oklahoma was the one. A big factor for me was wanting to go to a place that competes for a championship every year. And, they've done it. They've done it forever.
Yeah, of course. Oklahoma is huge, and they play in a great conference in the Big 12. So you're obviously not going to have that competition question against you. Normally that normally doesn't happen with the Big 12. But I want to ask you, coming from Oklahoma, what would you say as far as if you had to pitch to an up-and-coming recruit to kind of go to your school, what would be your pitch to get him to go to Oklahoma?
Yeah, I'd say the same pitch that I thought me and my family discussed. Football's fun, but football's a lot more fun when you're winning. And, winning 4 Big 12 championships in a row, that's a lot of fun, man. Me and my teammates, man, we had a lot of fun and winning games at the same time. And you go there and you compete. A lot of guys stray away from these big time schools because, I want to go in and start right away. Well, if you're a freshman coming in and you want to go to a school that's starting right away, there's a good chance they're not competing for a championship year after year. And so that was my big thing. I didn't stray away from the competition at my position, and one thing I cared about was the historic winning that Oklahoma has.
Right, absolutely. I love that answer because you're right. It definitely is, a lot more fun to win, and Oklahoma is the place to do that for sure. And you played alongside a lot of great players on that Oklahoma offensive line last season, which actually that offensive line unit won the Joe Moore Award as well. But you played on that offensive line with guys like Bobby Evans, Drew Samia, and Cody Ford. What was it like to play with those guys?
Oh, man, that was incredible. We'll all be remembering those times for the rest of our life. I mean, all 4 of us guys came into Oklahoma in 2015. Granted, I was a semester late. I came in January of 2016. But there was so much time we had to build our O-line up, and that was us, and that was the class of 2015, and we did that, and we did it together. We did it as a unit, all the practices, all the workouts we did, we were all by each other's side, man. Our chemistry was so great. We did absolutely everything off the field together.
Yeah, I think you guys had some unbelievable talent this year. I mean, you guys had Zeus the year prior. It's honestly incredible what you guys are, putting out there every single year. Oklahoma just, pumps out offensive linemen in this league, and I think obviously that, and that's one of the big keys I think to your offensive line. Getting Kyler, all that time. What was it like to play for somebody? Play as far as protecting potentially the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I blocked for Baker for 2 years, so
yeah, so 2 number 1 overall picks.
Blocking for Kyler was special. And this is what I tell people. I said, as much as we helped Kyler, keeping him clean, keeping the pocket clean, giving him time, he helped us and running away, scrambling from potential sacks. So we did a great job complementing each other.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's for sure. I mean, you can tell just watching you guys last season and what you were able to accomplish. And, we touched on a lot of guys that you played with who were very talented, but you also played against a lot of tough guys as well, on the opposing side of the field. All that competition that you guys played against, especially in the Big 12. Is there one guy who stands out to you as maybe being the toughest player that you went up against, or is there a couple?
I'll say the guy that I liked his game. I like Quentin Williams. He was a good player. He deserves that. Other than that, no, I wasn't real impressed with anyone.
Yeah, Quentin is right up there to be one of the top players selected. So I definitely think that's a good pick there. As far as favorite memory in college, I mean, what would you say would be your favorite memory? I know it's kind of hard because you went to a program that had a lot of success, and you blocked for Baker, you blocked for Kyler, not to mention the running backs there and Rodney, and I just there's so much Sermon, and then the wide receivers you guys have. But what was your favorite memory or game while at Oklahoma?
Playing in the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, those are incredible memories that I'll remember for the rest of my life. But something that I'll never forget was when we were playing at Ohio State in the Horseshoe. The doctors told me the morning of the game I have a 0% chance of playing. I sprained my ankle the week before that. The doctors told the coaches, they say, hey, man, there's no way he could play today. Well, my backup, ended up going down at halftime. And so my coach comes up to me and says, can you play? I said, well, shit, let's try it. And I go out there and I play great, and we ended up winning the game. We come back and win in Ohio State. That's a very special memory I have.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely sounds like it. And, I just kind of am curious to know, in your own opinion, what would you say is your biggest strength as a player?
There's three things I pride myself on. It's my technique, my intelligence, and my toughness. And I think those three things are going to take me very far in my NFL career.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I kind of want to go back because you were at the Senior Bowl. You were the guy that caught my attention. I mean, obviously there were a lot of, really good offensive linemen. I mean, talk about, Chris Lindstrom, obviously, Samia, Titus Howard, all those guys. But I felt like you really were just a, total wall. With that being said, how was your Senior Bowl experience? It was kind of bummed I didn't get a chance to interview you, but how would you say that whole week went for you?
It was great. I had a fun time at the Senior Bowl, and it was definitely fun being able to play like I did. That definitely helped.
Yeah, for sure. And this is just a question that I'm curious to know the answer to, because I obviously have never played offensive line in my life, but how would you prepare, or would there be any difference for you preparing to go up against maybe like a quicker defensive lineman as opposed to one that's kind of more of a pure power defensive lineman?
There's two aspects to watching film as an offensive line. You watch schematically, so what the defensive is going to do out of our formation that we line up in, the different looks we're going to see throughout the game. And then there's the personnel, finding out the player and how they play. So, let's say I'm coming up in a week and I'm playing a penetrating D lineman that's quick off the ball. I know I got to get my feet in the ground quick. It's one of those things.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And I mean, I could tell you guys are so well coached at Oklahoma. I mean, clearly, it goes far beyond just the field. With that being said, I got to ask you kind of a fun question here. Who do you most want to stonewall at the NFL level?
Oh, yeah. Shit, I probably should be answering that question right now.
Yeah, I understand that completely. And a different question that we have is, is there anyone in the NFL who, like a quarterback or running back, that you would really like to block for? Maybe, former teammates or whatnot?
Not necessarily a running back or a quarterback, but I'd love to play next to Orlando again.
Yeah, Orlando was unreal, just a total mammoth of an offensive tackle. So that's definitely not, a bad pick. With that being said, we are a Rams podcast, so I have to ask you, have you met or, spoken with the Los Angeles Rams yet?
Yeah. Yep. I visited with their whole staff at the Combine.
That's awesome. We certainly like to hear that because, we're big fans of you and big Rams fans. So if you ended up a Ram, we'd be super pumped about that, super excited. But, we're going to follow you no matter where you go because, I can speak for Jake on this as well. We really believe that you're going to have a long, successful NFL career. We can't wait to watch you. And, whether it's with the Rams or not, we're going to be fans. We're going to follow you. So we're looking forward to that. But just to, wrap it up, the last question that I have for you is, in your own words, who is Ben Powers the player and who is he as a person?
That's a really good question. There's two sides to every football player. There's a player off the field and there's a player on the field. Off the field, I'd say Ben Powers is a very caring, loving, sticks to family, faith, and those are the things he cares about. Ben Powers on the field, that's a different story. And hopefully you could see that in the way I play and approach the game. But, I said it before, and it's the quote on the Joe Moore Trophy, nothing nothing's more satisfying in life than making someone do something that he doesn't want to do. And I enjoy playing offensive line. It's an unnatural position. It's something that there's no glory in it, but I find that great. I find it great that I could go out to eat at a restaurant in Norman and nobody come up to me and say, "Oh my goodness, yada yada yada, can I get a picture? Can I get an autograph while I'm eating?" I'll go out to eat with Kyler or some of these more prominent skill players, and I'll just like, man, honestly, that kind of sucks. I'm a down to earth guy. I like to have a lot of fun with my guys, but when it's time to go, it's time to go.
Yeah, I think that was put very well. You don't really think about that. It's obviously it's kind of like, well, you're going to the NFL and you're obviously going to get, drafted within the first 2 days. And I mean, it's kind of hard to kind of, think about that where it's like, yeah, I don't really like having people bother me at dinner, because it doesn't even come across like Alexis and I wouldn't even think of something like that. I guess it's just kind of, the life of an athlete, but no, it's a great point. Ben, we really appreciate you coming on. We are big fans. You really caught my eye at the Senior Bowl because I was there, and I mean, you were just you were mean. It's that simple. So we really appreciate it. Stay healthy, man. Best of luck the rest of the way, and let's stay in touch.
I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Ben.
Yep.
All right, guys. Joining us on the podcast, we have UTSA linebacker Josiah Tauaefa. How's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Good. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course. Let's just start this thing off. How old were you when you started playing football, and kind of how did you get into the sport?
I started playing when I was 4 years old, from flag, and then obviously gradually grew up into the pads and Pee-wee, and it's history from there. I got into football. My dad played in high school, and huge football fan, and I have two older brothers who also played football before me, and so it's kind of just a family thing what we did.
Yeah, and who would you say was your favorite NFL player growing up?
Have to be Troy Polamalu.
Good one. Yeah, he's definitely a good player.
Yeah.
But then, obviously played football growing up and through high school, and then it came time for you to play in college. What was the main factor for you in choosing to play at the University of Texas, San Antonio?
A couple things. So, just the location, to my family, it's only about a 4.5 hour drive. So they could easily make my home games, and even some of the opponents that we played within conference, are some Texas teams or teams that aren't too far of a drive. So that was a big thing, just that my family would be able to come see me play and support me, and be able to have that experience. And then another thing is the atmosphere. I came to UTSA San Antonio is a beautiful city, and the atmosphere that was at UTSA, I enjoyed it a lot. I felt like there's a lot to grow on, and just the fact that they were super young in their football life, I guess you'd say. I was only a couple of years in, and so just an opportunity to be able to go there and help make history, throughout the next couple of years of my life there.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's always really fun to find out why, a guy chose a certain place to go to school and, of course, plays collegiate football there. With that being said, your redshirt freshman year, you set the single-season record in school history for tackles. You had 115. What does something like that mean to you? I mean, I understand, obviously, you're the one that's, doing the work, so you're obviously well aware of what's going on, but at the end of the year, like, did that just hit you as something different?
Yeah. So coming onto this scene, I mean, I had high expectations for myself, just knowing my capabilities and having to sit out that year in redshirt and be patient in that process. It was tough for me. So getting out on the field that first season, it was very enjoyable for me because I had been sitting out, hadn't been able to play snap of in-game football for a year and a half, 2 years coming out of high school. So, but then after it all happened, it was kind of I didn't really pay attention, to how many tackles I had each game or what my total was at the end of the season. People would tell me, or I'd see it online somewhere. And I wouldn't say I was surprised necessarily, but I was very thankful. I was very grateful for this season that I had that redshirt year.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that the most memorable moment to you of your college career, or do you have like another favorite play or favorite game that you played in?
Yeah. So, the one of the very memorable games was my redshirt sophomore year. After I had hurt my knee and been out a couple games. When I came back, I had a knee brace on, and it was against Marshall, and it was a very, very low scoring game. But it was just super cool to because we ended up winning 9-7. We had to kick, 3 field goals to score, and held their offense to just 1 touchdown in the game, and so that felt incredible. It was an awesome feeling and come together, with the defensive side of the ball and put our foot down and hold them time after time out of the end zone and away from the field goal. So that was a special moment. That was a special game for me. It felt so awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. And, you played on the same defense as guys like Marcus Davenport and Devron Davis, who I've spoken with both of them. Have they given you any tips or anything, like kind of coming into the NFL, like this whole process you're going through? And what was it like to play with them in the first place?
So yeah, I mean, both of them just have, when I've seen them recently, it's just been, your typical, keep working. Things are definitely gonna fall in place for you type of advice. And so, I've definitely been able to take that with a grain of salt and just keep working. But it was an honor to play with them, especially, Marcus obviously went the first round and, pick number 14, and he was, he made an impact for the Saints this year. And, but it was incredible to see those guys work and be a part of that defense and the success that we had there while they were at UTSA.
Yeah, of course. And those are guys who you played alongside who were very talented, but you also went up against like a lot of tough competition during your time in college. Is there any one player, maybe a couple players that stand out to you as being some of the toughest guys that you had to face during your college career?
Yeah, I'd say Aaron Jones of UTEP now at Green Bay, making an impact there and across the league. That was one guy, we had a tough time containing and definitely respected him and his game, after having to play him personally. So I'd say that was the toughest guy that I think I've had to face throughout my college career.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is a good pick. This is somebody that I think he's established himself in the league already. And there's also another guy over there, Will Hernandez, who kind of blew up the Senior Bowl last year. So UTEP's had some good guys for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They definitely put up some good talent, even though, their record might not reflect it at times. It doesn't mean that there's not, ball players over there. So definitely.
Yeah, well, it looks like you guys are both putting out talent, obviously. I mean, you're going to be entering the NFL, and, they have those guys. But I want to ask you, how was the whole pro day? What was that experience like?
That was an awesome experience. I've been training for a couple months leading up to it, and so it just felt good to go out there. I mean, that was the closest thing that I've had to real football since the season ended, and so it felt good to be back out there and running through drills and catching balls and just enjoy myself and enjoying that moment, enjoying that time, and the whole process really of this pre-draft situation and pre-draft weeks and months that are leading up to what will be a life-changing events here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, of course. And in your opinion, what is your biggest strength as a player?
I'd have to say my motor. I think that I play really hard. There's not a lot of times on film that you'll catch me just jogging or walking to the ball. I take pride in what I do, and when I'm out on the field, my team's going to get 100% of my effort all the time.
Yeah, and what would you say is the one area where you're looking to improve in the most heading into the next level?
I'd say coming under control when I get to the ball. So, it kind of contradicts my strength and my weakness kind of go hand in hand because I might hustle to the ball and come screaming over, but sometimes when I get there, I'm a little bit just a little bit out of control, and so I think gaining control and getting my feet under me and my head on straight when I get to the ball, it helped me a lot to not overrun a play, overrun a cutback.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next question is just kind of a fun one that we like to ask defensive guys who come on the show just to kind of get to know their answer. But who would you most want to make a game-winning play on in the NFL? So maybe get an interception off somebody, sack somebody, or force a fumble. Who would that be?
Oh, it'd have to be Tom Brady. Definitely.
Good answer.
Yeah, not that. I mean, obviously, I respect his game and the success that they've had. It's near impossible to consistently have at that level the success that they've had year after year, and no flack on Tom, but I definitely like to get a good hit on Tom.
I think that's a very common answer. I think we used to say 99%, and then once we said 99% of people pick Tom Brady, we started to get some new answers, which is kind of interesting. But most of the time, it's Tom Brady.
That's funny.
So, yeah, no, absolutely. But kind of segueing into it, of course, Tom Brady went up against, the Rams in the Super Bowl. We are a Rams podcast. And I have to ask you, have you met or visited with the Rams yet?
No, I have not visited personally with them or gone to the facility. There has been, a guy from there reach out to me, and actually one of the Rams scouts is the guy that was in charge of my pro day drills, or some of my pro day drills. And so we got to talk a little bit before and a little bit after pro day, and so that was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we certainly like to hear that because we are fans of you and would love to see you end up in the Rams. But no matter where you end up, we're going to be fans of you and follow your career. And, we believe that you're going to have a successful, long career in the NFL. So hopefully it's with the Rams. If not, we'll still be following and cheering you on. But just to wrap it up in your own words, who is Josiah Tauaefa, the player, and who is he as a person?
Josiah Tauaefa as the player is a hardworking, effort-based player who will give you his all the time. I'm not much of a big rah-rah pregame speech guy that'll, get up in front of the team at halftime or before the game and scream his head off trying to motivate people. I'm more of a lead by example guy in the field with my actions. I feel like I'm a team player. Whatever the coach needs me, wherever the coach needs me, in whatever aspect of the game, I'm willing to lay my body on the line. I feel like Josiah Tauaefa as a person is a little bit different than when I step on the white lines. I'm more of a, laid back, cool, calm, collected guy. I'm not much of a party or I prefer to stay in and play some games with the family or, go bowling or something personally. But yeah, that pretty much is it.
Yeah, going bowling, that sounds like a blast. It's too bad I'm terrible
Yeah.
at it, but
Yeah.
but no, that's awesome, man. We really appreciate you coming on. We're rooting for you. We know you're coming from a small school, we get that, but competition's competition. We have no doubts that you're going to succeed at the next level. Obviously, you've already had guys come from that school and prove that at the next level. So just we wish you the best, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys reaching out and having me on y'all's podcast.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all have a good one.